everyone! Fire season is here, and I didn't really know what that entailed until last Thursday. I had my first proper fire scare, to say it like that. Now, personally, I thought it was a bit weird that people were already so alert about the fire, because we've had so much rain in the last few months. And I was like, you know, if it's so wet, surely nothing catches fire. Boy, was I wrong. Now, the conditions last Thursday were just prime for fire. We've just had a few hot days, like 30 plus, and I already knew there was gonna be like a cold spell coming in. However, what this meant was that there were some really strong winds coming with dry thunder, and that means there was no rain. So the change happened and this massive wind came through. Like, it was a lot of wind. Like, all the trees were going like that, and I was literally just checking if the cold spell had came in. So I step out of the door, I look up, and I see the biggest freaking lightning bolt I have ever seen in my life come down just on the hill near our house. And surprise, surprise, 10-20 minutes later, fire. Well, there was probably fire straight on, but we got the alarm a little bit afterwards. And it's like 1 kilometer from my house. And it was this massive plume of smoke, and I'm not gonna lie, I was pretty freaked out. I didn't really know what to do at this point. I was home by myself. Matt was still at work. His work is an hour drive, and I just didn't know what to do at this point. Like, do I pack my bags? Do I actually leave or not? Because I wasn't sure how to assess a situation like that. I've never been in a situation like that. So the one thing that kept me well informed but also very stressed out was the Vic Emergency app. This is an app that you can download on the Google Play Store or the Apple Store. It's also online in a website, and what this app does is it shows you the things that are going on in your area. Things like fallen trees, bushfires, any other fires, floods, basically anything that could be a threat to you. And because of the very strong winds and the dry thunder, my app was going absolutely ballistic. It was just like bushfire, tree down, bushfire, tree down. Like, I was freaking out. Because not only did I have this rather big fire just a kilometer from my house, there was a small fire like 600 meters from my house, and then an hour or so later another fire started maybe 2 kilometers from my house. So I was just kind of freaking out. I called Matt. I asked him to come home early. He checked the app himself and was like, yep, I'm coming home early. It still took him over an hour to get back because it was just so windy. And there was just debris on the road everywhere. And he came back and he was like, oh, that's very close to our house. And I was like, no kidding. Why do you think I was freaking out so much? They actually had a watch and act zone surrounding that area. Our house was just outside it, but we still decided to leave. More to, get dinner and see how it played out. It was at that point clear that it wasn't a big threat anymore, because the thing was, the wind died down, which made it so much safer to be in this house. If the wind had blown into our direction, or if it had blown in my direction before Matt came home, I would have left immediately, but the wind was going the opposite way, so we were just kind of like watching and seeing what we had to do. This is a thing that the Australian government is like promoting, which is plan, act, survive, which means plan what you are going to do in case of fire near your house. So know, what kind of things you need to pack, like gas and electricity you need to shut off, pets that you need to collect, and also decide at what point you're going to leave. We had a fire like 1 kilometer from our house. If Matt had been home, we probably would have left earlier than we actually did. So you need to just plan what you're gonna do, act on it, and survive, because the dumbest thing you can do is try and protect your house. Just don't. Your house is just a house. The stuff inside is just stuff, and just leave it. Just take the most valuable belongings and fucking get out of there. Because I think about like 10 or 15 years ago, I think they called it the Black Saturday, I'm not completely sure, but there was a big fire within Victoria, within Melbourne, and a lot of people stayed back and tried to protect their home. And a lot of people died. So at this point, there's no stigma around protecting your house anymore. Don't try and do it, just act and survive. Because the thing is, it's not even the actual fire that's going to get you. There's a thing called radiant heat. Radiant heat occurs when there's wind and big fires. So it carries the heat of the fire way further than the fire actually is, and you can actually die from it, you know, because it's so hot. And yeah, you will die from a fire that's not even near you yet because of the wind. So the main thing is to always watch the conditions, because there are different types of fires and they can spread in different ways. Like if there are embers in the air, that makes it very easy for fire to spread. If it's in the canopies, just get out of there. just run. So yeah, plan, act, survive are the things you really need to know when you come to Australia. And definitely download the emergency app. So we have the Vig emergency app. Other states have their own emergency apps, and just always stay informed if there is a high risk of fire. Now you will find these signs literally everywhere in Australia. They will tell you about the fire danger in your vicinity at that moment. If it's really high, make sure you have the app, because otherwise you're not going to be informed about what's going on. I also want to give a massive shout out to all the firefighters here in Australia, because they don't just have a big fire brigade. Most of their fire brigade are volunteers. They are just regular people doing regular jobs, and as soon as fire season hits, they put on, you know, their firefighting gear and go save lives. And that's just, it's just insane to me that in a country with so many bushfires and just general like fire threats throughout the year, that they can basically use a system like that. That volunteers, you know, risking their lives, which is amazing. And there are people throughout Australia fighting fires as I speak. Australia is on fire at the moment. It's pretty bad. Last Thursday, literally every state in Australia had bushfires, and it's only gonna get worse with the climate change. You know, summers are gonna be drier, winter gonna be stronger, and it's just gonna make more risks for people. So it's just, even if you come here on a holiday, just be aware that this is a very serious problem, and that you should always be aware of the emergency plans and those kind of like things that they have in place to keep you safe. You know, don't just be like, oh, it's not that bad, you know, like, oh, you're just overreacting. No, they're not, because it's just a really big threat. So it's good to be mindful about that if you come to Australia, especially during spring and summer. So, not exactly a light-hearted video this time, but I just really want to make clear how important it is to know about fire and what to do during a fire, because I was very freaked out last Thursday, I'm not gonna lie. I basically was just having a full-on panic attack for an hour. So don't underestimate the fire threat in Australia. Even if you just come here on a holiday, be mindful about it, and most of all, be safe. Plan, act, survive. I will see you guys very soon. Bye!